Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna Trufilova, and I'm leading teaching and coaching innovation special interest group at ISPIM. This event is being a part of. So thank you for being interested in this webinar and finding time to join us today. We don't see each other, but we, at least as registered, are around 50 people experiencing digitalization, being connected and disconnected at a time. And it's a long way for us to understand this new coming world. And today we're having the pleasure of discovering this new world with Dr. Irina Fiegenbaum, who is a Senior Innovation Manager for Digitalization and Innovation at TÜV NORD in Germany. TÜV NORD GROUP in Germany, to be precise. Irina is coming from the world of teaching and coaching for innovation and been training for a number of years at university. So she's the one who understands both worlds, now working in a company. And particularly these days, she's helping TÜV NORD with developing Digital Academy and its training program. Where I was so happy to have Irina on board with ISPIM as an active member for many years and as part of our SIG. And a little bit, speaking of which, we are rooted back to 2013 and being just a special interest group, we've been selected and funded for 2 European projects. We just finished TACIT doing Gamify, where more than 600 people at Facebook, we're doing interconference event, we're doing webinars, we're part of Instagram, Pinterest. And so it's our pleasure to arrange events like this and happy for doing as more as we can for you. From the background today, helping us from ISPIM site, Lucia, and just to remind you, you have question and answers to type in. And I will leave this floor now to Irina, and hopefully you enjoy time with her understanding digitalization world of innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for the introduction. Yeah, so you told already a lot about me, so I don't really need to introduce myself anymore. Thank you for that. I will actually, for the time being, while running through the presentation, switch off the video as well. I'll put it on back again when we're going to be at the Q&A time. Please do write your questions during the presentation in the Q&A window, which you can find in the program. We'll collect them and I'll answer them after the presentation. So just I'll quickly stop the video and I'll go into the slides. Yeah, so digitalization. We're talking a lot about digitalization, digital transformation, digital innovation. Some may say these are the buzzwords. Well, probably these are the buzzwords of today, but they stand for the biggest change in modern management history, well, depending from when you count it. Many approaches of innovation management, be it open or closed innovation, be it ecosystems or alliances, you name it, you can list them all. They will all have to adjust to the new ways of innovating, moving towards digital innovation, way of implementing the digital technologies. So what actually the whole digital innovation stands for to begin with? If we look at the many definitions which you can find on the web nowadays, you'd probably understand digital innovation as application of new technologies for innovating products, process, business models, and so on. At its heart, that's what digital innovation is about. The process of moving from classical to digital innovation has been going on for decades, one can say. But it's also not happening just as a plain process. It's happening in waves, each wave propelled by advancement in technology. It started with the advent of Web 2.0, smart mobile devices, high-speed internet. Nowadays, the next wave brought us Internet of Things, big data, 3D printing, and artificial intelligence. These are just few of the emerging technologies which actually are pushing the whole trend of digital innovation forward. And in principle, what we should realize now is to remain competitive in the digital age, every organization must consider themselves a technology business. So this is the essential thing of the transformation which is happening today. Moreover, building digital products using data analytics and so on requires a particular skills. The customer journey has gone digital. The customer starts the journey digitally. We need to be able to understand the customer. We need to be able to use new approaches, new ways of innovating, new ways of doing business, new ways of understanding business nowadays. So it's the time to change. And what is also important in this kind of intra thinking is at least 40% of all businesses will die in the next 10 years, if you believe some executives. And they say that it's going to happen if they don't figure out how to change the entire company to accommodate new technologies. Probably not. We'll see. Many forecasts realize, many forecasts didn't realize, but at least this is a strong statement to be dealing with today if you think that you don't want to be in the 40% of businesses which is going to die out in the next 10 years. So change is essential. Companies say they don't really feel themselves ready for it. Nothing persuades better than good statistics. So I'll throw you in some numbers. 19% of North American companies and 7% of European companies consider their technology or digital levels as advanced. Only 19% of North American companies and only 7% of European companies. What does it tell to us? That in order to embrace the digital transformation, we actually need to advance simple understanding and the range of using the technology by the companies. At the same time, the 27% of executives rate digital transformation as a matter of survival. And one more number, 85% of enterprises decision makers believe they have only 2 years to integrate digital initiatives before failing behind their competitors. Whereas even some other 55% of companies think they only have 1 year. So of course, these numbers don't sum up to 100. This all comes from the researchers which tended to ask more than to offer more than one right answer. But nonetheless, this number is still quite impressive, and we can see that many are trying. Many are understanding the value of it. Many are trying to come up with digitalization initiatives. They are deep in the middle of a digital transformation. But there are some problems, and these problems we cannot ignore. The problems with digitalization projects been there for a while. They've been there for the last 20 years, one can say. The success rate of most of the digitalization projects is only about 20 to 45%. It's pretty low success rate if one think about how much time and money is invested in this whole initiatives. Failure rate is constant in the last 20 years, as I already mentioned. So it's not getting bigger, but it's also not getting smaller. And the one more on the last probably statistics number for today, 60 to 80% of the projects fail to meet the set requirements. So that there is also a big issue in the digitalization projects with setting really the right requirements for the projects to succeed. So why do the digitalization projects fail? Some may say that they weren't sufficiently planned. The other ones would say that they lack support of the management. The third would say that, yeah, there is strong change, fear of change, resistance to change, or lack of right methodology. It's also another thing which simply makes the project stop. They don't allow them evolve because people don't have the right tools on hands. Or simply people don't know how to do them. They're missing qualifications. If once again you turn into the most recent research, then one cannot go as more recent as the last week. So the results of most recent research show that many companies do understand these issues. They do apply new methods or different methods to digitalize. One can see the training of employees as quite a big number. Once again, please don't get irritated by the statistics. This is one of those research surveys where more than one answer was allowed for the respondent to give. So training of employees, 72% respondents see as a thing which they really need to do or what they are actually already going on with. Hiring digital specialists, purchasing external services, building own digital unit, and other alternatives which people or the companies employ here. What one can see clearly in this slide is that there are two strategies forming. And these two strategies are actually around not that simple decision of making or buying something. Would you buy the services from outside, hiring external consultants, collaborating with startups, hiring new employees, and just simply supplement the company to be ready for the digital age, to be ready to be transformed with the help of external satellites? Or would you actually make yourself, build yourself, develop yourself, training employees which you already have, playing with the culture you already have, and trying to make the best out of it, changing the company, expanding your culture, adjusting the culture? Digital transformation or digitalization on the way towards sustainable digital innovation is actually nothing more than a very big cultural change, new way of thinking, new way of mindset. So these whole things, these two strategies, it is probably the biggest question which organizations nowadays are facing. And so many select the way of buying. Been there as well in a short while, looking for solution for the support from outside. But once again, turning to the very recent study, one can say that outsourcing the development of digital technologies or tying up with digital partner to transform actually may seem like a viable option, but in reality, it could short-circuit the digital transformation process. What does it really mean? It's not sustainable. You can get the people from the outside organization to support you for the transformation process, to get you build the digital unit. They will come and they will leave. And if the knowledge is not transferred properly from those external consultants, from those external partners to become the core knowledge of the company, to become the actually essential knowledge of the employees, this knowledge will not stay, this tools will not stay. So this is the first problem with the buy decision. There's another problem with the buy decision. Of course, we can always say that we can hire the people from the outside organization and so complement our own company with the skills which are available at the market. But that's not that simple. We need more employees with digital competence, but at the same time, we don't have them. There is a lack of skilled workers, and this is once again confirmed by a number of research saying that we don't have enough of people fit for the digital days to come, people fit in digital thinking, people knowing how to build digital business models, people knowing how to innovate using new technologies, simply people understanding the new technologies. It's not that simple to understand what's hiding behind the blockchain or how intelligent is the modern artificial intelligence. These things are not that universal. They require a particular experience, and then combined with the business knowledge, we are facing a really tricky problem with missing skilled workers in the company, in the world simply. And once the companies are going on the search for this super employee, which is gonna complement, which is gonna come from outside and just gonna bring all the skills and knowledge, which is gonna complement ourselves. And then it will have some soft skills and it will have some business experience. And then please, in this particular industry, you will end up searching for unicorn. And by unicorn, I don't mean the very high valued startups. I really mean a magical creature which doesn't exist. That's why realizing all these problems which exist nowadays in the market for digital talent, we decided to go in with another approach. And our approach is actually in enabling and networking of our employees. So that's what it's going to be the main part of next 20 minutes is really how we proceed with the program, how we do enable the network own employees into supporting and driving the digital transformation from within the company. So it all started in 2017 with a kickoff event aimed at attracting management attention. It's of course required a lot of really strong internal external communication, creating awareness among employees and managers, using all the possible guerrilla marketing in order to simply make people notice that there is a need, we're doing something about it, and there's going to be this big change program which was initiated then. And important, or the cornerstone probably of the whole program is of course the training of digital experts, and then connecting them to each other, building a network of these digital experts, building a network of external partners. So this is in core and in short about the approach of Digital Academy. So the Digital Academy per se, I wouldn't call it a project, it's a program aiming at driving the digital transformation in TÜV NORD Group from within, using own employees, using own skills, and just making ourselves future-proof with help of training digital experts. So if you look at the digital experts and digital experts specifically in TÜV NORD Group, what are these people? They are very diverse. They are from 25 to 55 years old. Well, they are pretty much proportionally male and female. They might be department manager, team leader, project manager, or any other employees, either from the TÜV station or the offices of in our locations. At the moment, the ones which we have trained already are coming from 5 different countries. The job roles might be an auditor, evaluator, innovation manager, administrator, IT security manager, and so on and so forth. So these are the people with completely diverse backgrounds, completely diverse knowledge, completely diverse work experience. If you think about somebody who's 25 and 55, they have completely different generation-bound mindset and thinking. But nonetheless, this is one society, this is one community. They are the digital experts which have been trained by now. So what is a digital expert? Digital expert is a networker, innovator, digital leader of tomorrow probably, multiplicator, subject matter expert, facilitator, conflict solver, many faces, many roles. This is a person who is just there in the company, whom people know that he is a digital expert and he can connect many dots in order to get the things done, projects promoted, people connected, information transmitted, and so on and so forth. This requires a particular skills and capabilities, and this requires a lot of skills and capabilities. They're not that simple to acquire, and they're not nothing which is given by default. They can be built around the 4 blocks. We're working hard with personality, with methods and tools which we give enhanced to our digital experts, with innovation and technology, simply the methodological and content overview, what is there, what is to know, and of course such things as ethics, law, and security. If you think about modern world, this is a knowledge which is really relevant for in the time of digitalization. Here a little bit more, building on these 4 blocks, you can see the example of currently available models, which are used for training digital experts. Not all of them are already strong part of our program, which we apply in-house, but they are the models which are currently available and which can be complemented into the program. What we built our training program around are the few key elements which I'd like to mention here. And these very strong focus on personal development, and one can also see that very well in the career paths of our digital experts. Few of the first round digital experts have already moved their next career moves up the digitalization ladder, career ladder, which is of course very pleasant, very nice for us to see how this personal development helps people to advance in their career. Then the next key element would be learning by doing in the flagship projects. What we really strongly believe in is that everything people learn has to be immediately applied. I'll go more in detail on each of these points in the following slides. Intensive training and full isolation from workspace is something, some other element which many question, but we can see a really strong benefit of having people almost closed up together for 6 to 7 weeks at a time, as in a particular location outside of a regular business environment, outside of regular or daily jobs, and interacting with each other in a very intensive pace on a day-to-day basis. This builds a really strong community feeling. So this is also a very important key element of the digital expert training which we have at the moment. And of course, diverse modern training methods. One cannot train for innovations without using innovation in training. So we try to apply what is now known methodologically most efficient training methods, which should be applied in this kind of scenario. So I'm going to now go one by one into each of these 4 elements, zoom into some of them more, some of them less, but nonetheless, the next few slides are going to go around that. So the element number 1 is a focus on personal development. We build it around the competences. We're working together with our digital experts trying to define, okay, what are the competences which are needed for digital experts to succeed. We can group them under the individual, team, and strategic transformation competences. And there is many things which belong there. Of course, been talking already for decades in management science about team competences, that people need to be able to cooperate, that they need to be able to make decisions for team for themselves. In individual level, analytical learning, we see learning and technology components here as a very strong features, a very strong components which have to be developed. And on the strategic transformation competence process, we're looking at the problem solving, leadership, ethical. So these are all the skills and competences we are looking at in the program, and we're building our program curriculum in order to address this personal development, in order to get the people tools to fulfill, to get themselves suited to deal with the digital expert job when it requires the following competences. The next one, next element is learning by doing in the flagship projects. If you look at the flagship projects, this in principle, the process looks like this. It's a little bit too cryptic here. If we go more in a detail, what is essential on this, what is essential here is that we have a theory combined with praxis. It's a typical classical learning approach, nothing new about that, but each and every element of each and every training model, each of every learning model, combined with the project, applying the results immediately to the project is something which gives value here. So you'll zoom in now in this process. We're starting point for the project is the identification of the pain points of the customers. So we're looking at the customer journey. We're looking at the interaction of a customer. Where do we come across with our customer? Where do we come in touch? Where are the deepest drops in their deepest problems along the customer journey? What are the pain points? And we take one of them and we address them with a project trying to improve the experience of our customer with the new technologies or the new approaches. For example, by identifying pain point, we build up a hypothesis, come up to the solution concept, looking at the technology. So this is a process how the digital expert during the training applies the knowledge which he or she learns and implements immediately in the project which is accompanying this training. One example here, this is an example from the last training round. There was a need, the pain point of a customer identified was the waiting time for the car inspection. It's a classical case of one of the services which we are providing. The goal was, of course, to reduce the time, and there is a number of hypotheses drafted based on a case to reduce the waiting time during the car inspection. We need to make the service faster, or we need to make the service, so the work of an inspector, somehow more to optimize it somehow. And based on the multiple hypotheses which were like brainstormed, which were created to answer this, to address this pain point, there was the solution and concept proposed, which was a hands-free work of an inspector. So in order to optimize the time which the inspector spends while inspecting the car, we wanted that the inspectors, the goal was that the inspector actually working hands-free, and hence with a voice input makes the whole process much faster with all the devices. Many things been then considered on technology. Voice recognition, for example, was one of them. Gestures, back office support, different solution concepts were analyzed, and actually, in principle, what was then discovered after the applying design thinking process, after applying the customer interviews, is that hands-free was not a solution. Solution was actually just adjusting the original structure of the way the inspector has to implement the process back into the device, and the only thing which had to be improved here was actually not super high-tech thing like a voice recognition, but simple defect tree had to be adjusted in the company. So this is a little bit too high-tech scenario, probably high-tech example to go deeper in detail, but it shows you the interaction process, how the real digital expert applied the knowledge collected during the education, during the training, and implemented it right away into the project which he was working with. So after the defect tree was adjusted, the touch display was sent to be the bottleneck, and then the implementation concept developed. The project is still ongoing, so we cannot really go much deeper in looking at the results, but this is just the next stages which the project is going through, applying the newest methodologies of project management as well, like agile project management. We are moving towards the we're basically accomplishing the project that way. So this is the projects which are totally accompanying the training process. Every single thing which our digital experts learn during the training, they do apply in their project immediately, and they do try to test everything and put in question also everything they knew before, everything they know about their daily work in order to come up with a result. So this is learning by doing for us. That's how the program is implemented. And next element is an intensive training. And as I mentioned already, it happens in a full isolation from the workspace. Here's a sample agenda of our training round. Currently, it's taking 6 weeks of training and 1 week of project work. We are starting next round of digital experts training already next week. It's gonna last a little bit longer this time. Just happened to be too many holidays in May and June. But nonetheless, it's a 6 weeks block from the content-wise, and following topics are included in this in the blocks as an example. So we're looking at the design thinking, we're looking at the data science, we're looking at the presentation skills. You can see all the mixture of the soft and hard skills here, business model innovation, prototyping, together with corporate responsibility. So all the things which have to be considered when dealing with digital age projects and innovations. And last but not least, our digital experts can, if they want to, of course, get certificates. So TÜV NORD issues their own certification scheme in that regard. And after taking an exam in all the subjects, our digital experts actually become a certificate where it stands that he or she has become a digital expert. The beautiful about this whole training program is that this project ideas, which our digital experts are working with, they're coming with these project ideas to us. They either get them from their supervisor, or this is some opportunity which they identify themselves, or they are developing them with a customer, basically looking at the customer points. Many ways how the ideas can come to us. They all put in question, once again applying the training process. And once the project has gone through all the phases together with digital experts after the training, it's going to be presented to the management. And this is our pitch event, where every digital expert has a few minutes to pitch the project in front of the management board of the company, or as we call it in TÜV NORD Group Executive Committee. And this is the highlight of the training. It's really gives a really startup flavor to this whole thing. We get the supporters from the management, and the digital experts and can continue building the steering committee for the project and implementing it with the support from the management. So this is really nice way to do it. And of course, this whole process of this intensive training and program is coupled with personal development. So we are working with our HR together to actually support the digital experts in developing the skills and competences I'd like to. So that's about the phase number 3. So about the third block of third strong point of the program. And the last one is a diverse modern training methods. We do combine a lot of training methods during the digital experts training program, starting with instructor-led, going to different interactive methods, hands-on trainings, blended learning, e-learning, coaching, and mentoring. You'll find all of them at some point of time within the 6 weeks training period. And we do cover e-learning with a preparatory online course, which starts already 1 month before the training program starts, which people can learn the things which don't require any interactive learning on their own pace at home, and so on and so forth. And of course, the training environment is important. Happy faces are also important. So here's a few shots of from the last training rounds, how it all looks. Sometimes at the desk, sometimes at the workshop table, sometimes writing in the window, all the different things happening during the training rounds. All beautiful and nice in this when one looks at this kind of training program, but we should also realize that we have committed to it, and we had to face a lot of trade-offs as a company when we are looking at such a program. When you're thinking about digital academy as an approach driving the transformation from within the company, it does have challenges. Of course, to each challenge should need a solution, so we try to address them right away, a strong direction. And first of all, what is important here is strong management support at all times. We wouldn't make it, Digital Academy wouldn't be possible if management wouldn't have supported. Of course, it costs to train people. More of that, they are getting off normal operative daily jobs. So 7 weeks is a long time to take people out of a job. Future role of what are they going to do? How do they return to old tasks in a new role with a new knowledge, with a new mindset? This is a big change issue. So these whole things had to be addressed. There is, of course, different perspectives still. Different digital experts have different challenges they face in integrating their role with the regular job. But nonetheless, it's really important that this management support is there, and this is a challenge which many companies have and cannot solve as good as we do. Next challenge which we had on the way is finding a place for digital experts after the training, in a sense that we just train the person and he or she goes back to the regular job. Digital expert returns back to the office. At the same time, digital expert has now new tasks. So how to combine these new tasks and the old tasks? How we found a solution to that when we said that he or she will be spending about 20% of the time on digitalization tasks. They can be also the tasks which are just the ones relevant to his particular daily role. But nonetheless, he or she should get the chance to think digitally about 20% of time when he or she spends at work. Digital expert becomes a member of digital expert community, of course, if he or she wants to. Its communities are on voluntarily basis, but at the same time, this is also a very strong effect. We want them to be multiplicators. We want them to transfer the knowledge, we want them to exchange knowledge, we want to create the transparency which is needed inside the company in order to support digital transformation. And the next challenge is, of course, maintaining a level of expertise after the training. We're also trying to solve this. We understand that technology is moving in an incredible pace. Digital experts are they need to be refreshed. They need to be the knowledge need to be refreshed regularly. So they have quarterly meetings with some learning elements which are going to be integrated to them as of now. They have monthly calls with some webinar elements on the relevant topics and projects to exchange the knowledge and status quo. And many of the digital experts are simply the experts in some fields, and they will be driving force to establish a community of practice. So basically, these kind of solutions to the challenges which we face are there for the digital experts. And of course, if we're looking at the management support, as our CEO says, through the Digital Academy, we have successfully initiated the holistic digital transformation of the TÜV NORD Group from within. This is a very strong statement, it's a very strong showing of support, and we're very happy that we have this support. So it's probably for the ones who would like to move on forward with no Digital Academy, this will be the step number one to do, is to actually get the management support. So to sum up our results, we have by now 19 flagship projects already running, plus 9 which are going to be kicked off next week. We have 24 digital experts which have been already for the training. In the spring round, which starts on Monday, we have 9 digital experts more. We had 2 management events organized so far with about 500 participants. Our next format of management event is going to be taking place also in June this year, which is going to add up to the participant count. And internal Digital Academy web page is also very well attended by the employees. So that's to basically round up the whole story about the Digital Academy. And before I come to the very, very last slides, I'd like to think about the next steps. And the next steps specifically to the ones who who'd like to join us on this journey. And I'd like to offer you one of 3 opportunities or ways to do it. First of all, we are still in the beginning of our journey. We started 2017, it's not so long time ago. We're still building the partner network. We are happily looking for the new things and new members, new people companies to work with. So this is option number 1. We'll be happy to welcome new network members. At the same time, you can become our customer. Everything which we learned from Digital Academy, we are happy to share. We are happy to offer the other companies who are struggling with the same issues. We are happy to help you build your own Digital Academy with many different setups, solutions, certifications, events, and things accompanying. So that's also, feel free to contact me if you're interested in actually try in replicating our success with that. And the last but not least option of getting in touch is you still have an opportunity to take part in our digital expert training. You can just join our digital experts, send a couple of people from your company to go through this education transformation project with us. Next one, as I said, starts on Monday. We could still accommodate a few people, I believe. And then in October 2019, we're going to have the next round. So this is basically think about the Digital Academy or calling for action. So if you'd like to join more, of course, if you'd like to know more about the TÜV NORD Group Digital Academy, you can always contact me. And I'm happily taking questions as of now, because actually I'm done with the presentation and I've seen there was something popping up on the question notes. So Lucia?
Thank you very much, Irina. Actually, you answered a lot of questions during your presentation, but anyway, how will the program evolve in the future? What is your plan?
Well, the program is really evolving in many directions. We are very open ourselves for all the ways where it possibly may go, honestly speaking. But of course, we are continuing the training internally. If you think about program inside TÜV NORD Group, we're a huge company. We are, well, depending on how you count, between 12 and 40,000 people in the company globally. We cannot make everyone a digital expert, but we definitely like to give our employees a minimum skill set, minimum tool set in order to be fit for digital transformation. So we're looking in the ways to develop that. So we're looking in the ways to reach as many employees as possible. We are still relying strong on the core network, on the core community of digital experts. We will continue with education internally. We'll continue with the training rounds. We now do twice a year. and we'll see how long it's going to go still. How many people would actually like to educate. There's no end number stated yet. And of course, there's many other formats which we can imagine, going international, going to the different management levels. This is all internal things. At the same time, there's also an external direction. The program is evolving in a sense that we are offering it to the customers. We are offering it to the companies, to the profit companies, to non-profit companies. It doesn't really matter whom, but in a sense that to the ones who have the similar challenges as we had and like to apply Digital Academy, like to establish Digital Academy. And we are evolving together with our customers. We are adapting, so the program may still really change from what it is now, but what the core thing which we'd like to keep is this holistic view, the thoughtful methodology, the novel training methods, and really an approach that we say in order to become digital experts, there is a minimum requirement which we deliver, and around that we can build a lot of modular things. I don't know if I answered the question based on expectations of whoever asked it, but yeah, so the program is definitely evolving.
Thank you very much. And maybe one last question. What would you recommend to read, like book or listen to podcasts about the digitalization of innovation to add to what you have just said today?
Well, this is a good one. Well, when anybody asks me what to read about innovation, I always say John Besant. But if you think about the digitalization and the digital transformation, this is a really good question. I just like reading I'm a big fan of Harvard Management Review and MIT Sloan Management Review. I'm just trying to look at the modern research and following those. There's of course always some ad hoc things popping up. In terms of books, there is actually, I have really bad memory for the authors. There is actually a few on my desk, on my home desk, which I can recommend. If somebody, whoever asked this question, can write me on LinkedIn and I can send the links.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe just one last question. Do you run the academy with internal trainers, or do you also invite external one? And what is your experience about this?
Both. You could see in our partner network that we have very strong cooperation with from Albert Steinbeis University. They are providing quite a lot of trainers for us. We do have some trainers in-house, but we are not we're not the university ourselves here. We're not a training company per se, in the sense that we say that we have all the knowledge in-house. We're trying to work with the best on the market who actually has the knowledge which we need. Of course, we have it's also probably in the partner slide, there's an Accelerate with the consultancy companies which are working, and they are also supporting us specifically, especially in the marketing related trainings, in the project training. So there is a number of partners we're working with, and we are always happy to grow the partner network. And of course, we do use the internal trainers as long as we have the capacity. Probably IT cybersecurity this round in this training will be done by our colleagues from TÜV IT. This is one of the companies inside TÜV NORD GROUP. When we have the expertise in-house, we are very happy to use it. Thank
you very much. We actually are recording this webinar, but is it possible to get also your slides?
Well, I believe, I don't know if it's in 100%, but I believe in some percent, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Irina. I will pass microphone to Anna.
Yes, thank you, Lucia, and thank you, Irina, very much for the most interesting presentation and extremely inspiring. We definitely follow up on the next steps from ISPIM, and would be very happy to hear more from you as part of the main conference.